This is the DNVR Broncos Podcast. We're going to be live in a couple minutes. We don't have Zach today, so it's just me and Todd. We're going to be running through some AFC West position rankings, all the offensive positions, so ranking the quarterback groups 1 to 4, running backs, receivers, all that sort of stuff. And then at 11:30, we're going to have our guy Brian Baldinger join us, so check it out. We'll see you in 30 seconds. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Broncos Podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge. Like I said in the cold open, we don't have Zach today, so I'm a little bit nervous.
Nervous for what?
I don't know. Like, anything could happen.
Anything can happen. We're ready for anything, though.
Yeah, we are ready for anything.
Roll with some Celsius and some Coors. We'll make it through.
Yeah.
Last time that Todd didn't like a co-host, he kicked him off the show, a.k.a. Zach. So I just be careful, Henry.
That's right. After yesterday, wow.
That was hilarious.
Everybody on
Zach
Twitter
set me up.
A lot of people on Twitter were siding with Zach, too.
About what?
Saying Jalen Hurts is better.
Than who?
Than Dak.
No.
They're wrong.
Yeah, it's okay. People are wrong all the time. You know, you don't have to argue with everybody. Because some people are just going to be wrong and stay wrong, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Can people have wrong opinions? Absolutely. So it's all good.
It's also one of those things where, because I think Zach posted it from his own account, like, who's the better quarterback? Which of those two? And sometimes when he does that, he phrases it in a way that really leads people in one direction.
Yeah.
Like, I got a couple of those. We did the Jamal Adams thing a couple days ago. I was like, he's a good player. Like, I don't think he's a fit for the Broncos just because the timeline doesn't add up. But, like, if you're a defensive coordinator, I think what I said was, in a dream world, if I was a defensive coordinator, you get to this point of the year, you get to add, like, a guy like Jamal Adams who's just like a third down chess piece. That's an awesome addition. All of a sudden, it just unlocks a bunch of things. When we posted it to the Twitter account, it was more of a the Broncos should sign Jamal Adams. Then everybody just yelled at me.
Wasn't the same.
It was not the same. The framing definitely didn't help me out. Today, though, we are going to be going through all of the offensive positions and ranking every group from 1 to 4 for each team in the AFC West. So I'm thinking we start with the quarterbacks and jump right in. And for this one, I mean, it's mostly just the starting quarterbacks. I guess in theory, like the backup plays 2 or 3 games, so that's 10% of the year.
No, let's just rock with the starters.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like the backers, it gets too deep.
Okay, I think that's probably a good call. Obviously, the starters, Bo Nix, Gardner Minshew, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I feel like there's maybe not a super clear order, but there's definitely a clear top 2.
Yeah, I think the order's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Patrick Mahomes is 1. You got to give him his credit. We hate to do it, but we have to.
Yep.
Number 2.
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, you got it.
Justin Herbert. He has been the golden boy for a couple years. Was supposed to be, but never really lived up to the potential everyone says he has.
Yep.
But nevertheless, I think he still outperformed Gardner Minshew, who in his own right finds ways to win games.
He does.
Year after year, but I think he's 3rd. And then Bo Nix, just because he hasn't played yet in the NFL, probably going to be 4th on this list. But, I mean, this list could change after week 1. So.
Yep. Yeah, I think that it really is an easy one. I think the tougher question is, how do you rank them 5 years from now? Because I feel like that's when we go through this, we should do who's the best right now, who's set up the best for the next 5 years. And that's where, I mean, it's still Mahomes number 1. It's still probably Herbert number 2, unless you really, really, really like Bo Nix. But that's where Bo Nix passes Gardner Minshew right away. Like, in terms of the funness of the group, in terms of the future of the group, at least Bo Nix has that over Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, and I feel like there's potential. I mean, the hope and dream is that Bo Nix is number 2 at least in the division, because we brought him here to win games. And,
it's true.
That's what we want. So if he's behind Justin Herbert 5 years from now, that means for the next 5 years, our team will be behind the Chargers.
Yeah.
Because we know it's a quarterback-driven league, and you're only as good as your quarterback. That's not really cutting it, I don't think. So we're third. We'll be third in the AFC West. That means we're probably 8th in the AFC overall. That's tough. So I think we definitely have to have a jump from Bo Nix to being number 2 in the AFC West to be able to have some type of fighting chance to make this playoff push, to make the Super Bowl run that we're trying to build up to.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of just accepted the fact that, Justin Herbert's a good quarterback. If Bo Nix is as good as him, then things worked out pretty well. But it's true that when you look around, like having the third best quarterback in a division is not a good place to be. No. It's really not a good place to be. And it's tough to even call that a successful draft pick if that's what you wind up with. Like, I guess you look at like the AFC North, you've got Lamar, Burrow, but then you've got Russ, and then like Deshaun. So even they don't have like a third quarterback. I can't think of a single division where the third quarterback is the guy that you'd be happy to have, or on a team that's in a good situation.
No, I don't think that it's too much. It's too hard to win in the NFL to have the third best quarterback in your division.
Yeah.
So you already play each team twice. So you're talking about 4 games that you're potentially losing. And that's outside of even other AFC matchups or other NFC games that you'll play throughout the year. Like, you're just not in you're not in a good spot to even start the year.
Yeah. I mean, you have like Hurts and Dak, and then Jaden Daniels, but then it's like Daniel Jones. So like Jaden Daniels is kind of in that same spot too, where he's got to be really good to wind up not just leaving you with the third best quarterback.
What about the AFC South?
AFC South? That's like
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And then you have like
Trevor
Lawrence. And what's the third one?
The CJ Stroud.
And then you still have like Will Levis if he turns into anything.
But that's like,
but still,
it could be a thing in a couple of years.
I think maybe right now CJ Stroud might be 1.
Yep.
And Trevor Lawrence is 2.
It's like 2.5.
Anthony Richardson could be something, but I still think that even if he surpasses Trevor Lawrence, that's not a good thing for the Jaguars.
No. Then they'd be really stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't have the third best quarterback.
No,
I never really thought
anything.
of that.
Yeah.
It makes sense, I guess, but no, you need Bo Nix to be better than Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Luckily, Justin Herbert has never actually done anything. Also, Oregon guys. We can move along though, because that was an easy one. I'm thinking we get into maybe the most fun group, and that's the running backs. Obviously, we know who the Broncos have, but let's just start by comparing them to the to the Chiefs. Sorry, with Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then a bunch of other. I mean, like Keontae Ingram was fun for Texas. Like that's basically it. It's basically the Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Pacheco right now is probably the best group between like the Chiefs and the Broncos, or the best runner between the Chiefs and the Broncos. But the depth for the Broncos might win out.
I think
healthy Javante's right there too, though.
Yes, healthy Javante is a great player, but I think Pacheco and Helaire might still beat us even with depth, just because we haven't figured it out yet. I don't think anybody is like as successful as they've been for maybe 2 years in a row. So I think that's what makes it tough to put us in front of them, even though we do have a little bit more depth. But you talk about Javante, he's a great player, but he wasn't himself last year. Jaleel, great player, but was a rookie. Can he repeat? Samaje, very limited role. Has potential to be, that number 2 in the NFL, but will he get more or less opportunities this year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably would put the Chiefs above us, but I would say we were probably 2. I wouldn't say that there's a laundry list of great running backs now that Josh Jacobs is gone.
It's true.
And Eckler.
Yeah.
Eckler is gone. I feel like it's definitely changed the structure of the running backs in the AFC West.
Also, when you look at the Chiefs, like, sure, they only have like the 2 guys, but how important really is your third running back? Like, it's nice to have one, and it'll come up for a few games a year, but for the most part, you really only need to have 2 guys splitting carries. Like, it's nice that the Broncos have 5 right now, but it's not like you're getting all those guys on the field anyway. So if you like their number 1 better, it does make it pretty easy. And I think you're probably right that you just have to go with the Chiefs, although they're 1 injury away. Chargers, though, they brought in basically the Baltimore backfield with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Still have Isaiah Spiller. Got Kamani Vidal in the 6th round. Don't know who that is. But yeah, like the Chiefs, probably just those top 2 guys. And Dobbins and Gus Edwards, I mean, I think Dobbins is in kind of a similar situation to Javonte, where for a second there he was really good, and then the injuries happened, and he's been fine, but hasn't really been anything special since. Yeah,
I agree. So I would put, the Broncos running back room above theirs. I think that's a pretty easy one.
Yep. And then the last one, we've got the Raiders. Former teammate of yours, actually, with Alexander Madison, Zamir White, Amir Abdullah, and another that's teammate. About it. Oh, really? Oh, he was here, wasn't he?
No, they were both at the Vikings.
I was thinking Theo Riddick.
He was the 3rd back at the Vikings.
Huh.
But that's a solid group, but I feel like as good as Alexander Madison is and has been for years, he didn't take the opportunity that he had and really run with it.
Yeah, because that's why the Vikings got rid of Dalvin Cook, was to give him the opportunity.
Yeah, and so for that reason, I can't say that he's at the top of, the running back list.
Yeah, and the difference to me is just the upside the Broncos have. It's like Jaleel, for all we know, could actually be like a 6 yards per carry runner for his career. For all we know, even Aldrick Estime, Blake Watson, you have just as much proven production through Javonte and Samaje, and you also have all those guys, and I think that makes it pretty easy to say the Broncos are better. So to me, it's Chiefs 1, Broncos 2, and then I'd probably go Chargers in front of Raiders, but I could really go either way.
Well, that's nice to know, but
too
much information for me.
There we go.
No, I think that's the right order. I'm rocking with that.
Yeah. And then 5 years from now. Running back's kind of a tough position to do that with because
they're
nobody
all be retired.
Exactly.
They'll all be retired, and we'll have a whole new list of guys to be talking about.
I mean, I guess maybe that's where you go with the Broncos, just because they do have so many young guys.
Yeah, young guys. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have more tread on their tires at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire aren't old
that's
either.
True.
Javonte's not old.
That's true.
I think the Chargers and the Raiders maybe have a couple guys with more years. But I would say, it'll still be the Broncos and the Chiefs fighting for the 1-2 spot in 5 years.
Also, so we can tell Pacheco's good, you see him run and it's kind of fun to watch him run. But also playing in that offense, all your numbers are going to be inflated, right?
As a running back?
Even as a running back?
I would say no.
No?
Yeah, I think there was, for a few years there, I think there was a good passing team with an okay running team, you know? I don't think they were fully balanced. And I still think their passing attack is way better than their rushing attack.
Definitely.
But his ability to break tackles and make people miss does add an added layer to it. I don't think it's just he's a product of the system. I don't think it's the tush push. You know what I'm saying? I think he's actually making things happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. He definitely is. Cool. Gotta give a shout out to Bet365. I mentioned this yesterday. I had some money at, what was that? That was France and Poland. And I said, yeah, France. France, yeah. So I had France to win. They went up 1-0, and I said on the show that when you can get 9-1 odds on a soccer game to end in a tie, you make the bet. And I got lucky that Poland missed the penalty kick, but then they wound up scoring in the last 10 minutes, and I lost my bet. But today I've got some other fun bets. I've got a draw. I made the smart bet in the Belgium game. Last I saw, it was 1-1 at halftime. We got some money on the Rockies later. But Lexi's out of town, so I'm having a lot of fun watching sports.
She leaves you all the time, bro.
Dude,
you gotta
I know.
Make sure
well, now it's the draft.
You better be checking locations and stuff.
That's true. Well, yesterday I had to take her to the airport at 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
It was awful.
Be a real one.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so also that reminds me, she's at the draft. There's NBA draft props up too. And Dre always does a lot of research. Remember, I mean, he had all those Penix bets. Remember, he hit 8 exactly for Penix, which is crazy. So I'm going to make some money off of that too. If you sign up for Bet365 using the code DNVR365, you can make a bet and get offer, place a bet $5 or more, get $150 in bonus bets, or you can take a first bet safety net offer, replace a bet up to $2,000, and if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a match refund and bonus bets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and older, 21 or older. And older wouldn't make sense. And physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
You know what would have made your drives to the airport at 4:30 more easier or not as unfun? A Toyota.
Wow.
Yep, a Toyota will definitely.
Wow.
No, definitely not a Coors Light.
Not a Coors Light.
Shout out to Toyota.
More of an adventure.
We come live from the Toyota Lounge. You guys are right now in the Toyota chat, and we love all the comments. But we definitely love Toyota. It's the official vehicle of the DNVR, and they definitely want to get you covered and have you covered with no matter what vehicle you're looking for, whether you're looking for an off-road vehicle, whether you're looking for a hybrid vehicle. They have 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from. Whether you want the Tacoma, the Land Cruiser, they definitely have you covered. We had a 4Runner for giveaway at the golf tournament.
Oh, no, it was a Tacoma.
Tacoma,
it was a
giveaway.
really nice Tacoma, too.
Very, very nice.
I mean, they're all nice, but that one in particular.
Yeah, we were trying to give it away, but nobody could hit a hole-in-one.
I know.
So we had to keep the car for ourselves. It's parked outside. We'll see who gets it next.
I don't know why nobody has hit a hole-in-one. They could have had a free car.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's easy.
Yeah.
We weren't golfing, so we couldn't do it, but you know what I'm saying? It's not that hard. But we want you to visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. You got Auto Nation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East, and Stevenson's Toyota West. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR.
All right. Let's see. I'm thinking we get offensive line and tight end out of the way before we get to Baldy, so that he can tell us if we got it right or not, and then we'll hit wide receiver afterward. So offensive line, we know who the Broncos linemen are. I like the depth too. Let's just do the same thing. We'll start with Kansas City and say, as of now, it looks like left tackle Wanya Morris, guard Joe Thuney, center Creed Humphrey, guard Trey Smith, right tackle Jawan Taylor. So you look through there and say Thuney, Humphrey, Smith, Taylor. Like, you've got 4 guys who are somewhere between like good solid starters and Pro Bowl type players. It's just that left tackle question that, I mean, that's not where you want to have a question.
No, especially for a dominant quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. You want to protect the left side, the blind side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to the blind side and
Michael Orr.
I
might need to watch that.
he didn't he sue that family? That's sad.
He did.
Because they were like stealing money from him, or did give him like a cut of the proceeds from the movie.
Which is crazy.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, especially because my first thought was like, okay, you're NFL left tackle, you make a lot of money. The flip side of that though is like, the other people were Ole Miss boosters.
Yes.
I'm sure they also had plenty of money.
Yes, and just because you have money doesn't mean that you don't get to make more money off of your, name, likeness, and image.
I've found that when I have more money, whether it's because like I've done a good job saving or like I make bets or whatever, I just want more money. Like that's when I want money the most. It's when you get to like the end of the month and you're like, well, time to like not spend too much for a couple days. That's when you're like, I don't even need money anymore. It's like I can eat ramen for every meal happily, and then all of a sudden, like, it's when you have money that you want more money.
Absolutely.
Todd's like, yeah, I haven't thought about that in a minute.
No, I think about money all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Because the movie is called Blindside, and they literally blindsided him. They did not protect his blind side. That's all they asked him to do.
They really did. Also, like, suing a family member is a tough position to be in.
Gotta be tough.
Like, it happens to people, but like, that changes life.
But you gotta do something really crummy for your family. Like, you gotta do something crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what would it take for me to sue my mother?
Like, if they made $10 million off that movie and they didn't give you anything, and the whole movie is about you and your life and your story, and you don't get a dime, that's pretty crummy.
Exactly.
Would you rather sue your mom or your dad?
Oh, wow.
Both my parents are attorneys, so I'd be screwed.
You're that kid? You're that kid in Montana?
Yeah.
Do you know who my dad is?
No,
I'll sue
I did
you.
not say that because they already knew. Yeah.
Oh, dang,
Didn't
that's
have to
tough. I
say
don't
it.
want to sue either of my parents. And my parents watch the show, so I can't even answer that question right now.
Oh, see, there's your real answer. That's what I should have said.
That would be crazy.
I wouldn't sue either of them regardless. So Chiefs off. Oh, this was another question. When you as a linebacker are preparing for games, how often do you, like, you're obviously scouting offensive lines.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you still remember a guy like Joe Thuney would have been around then? Juwan Taylor, I don't know if he would have played. There's a small chance. But how well do you know these players, like in terms of how they play?
When I played, I knew them a lot better. As of now, there's a couple guys that I remember over my career. Tooney is definitely one of them. I think he was been a good player for a while. But like the big name guys, the guys that you have to kind of prepare a little extra for, that O-line in Oakland, I remember those guys pretty well because they were pretty good for a long time. Chargers, not so much. They didn't really have nobody to remember. My bad, Michael Schofield.
That's
Schofield.
right.
I remember
That's
Michael
right.
Schofield. So yeah, I think the guys that are really talented, you remember more than other guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chiefs offensive line or Broncos offensive line? Who are you taking?
Chiefs. We have a talented O-line group, and I think they have a question at left tackle. We have a question at center. So I think it's kind of, you could go either way, but I think so. But I think for like Pro Bowls and All Pros, those type of guys, they may have one more than we do. So that's why I give it to them.
That's kind of where I'm at, because to me, like a Joe Thuney kind of cancels out Quinn Miners, and like maybe this is the year where Thuney slows down a bit and Quinn takes another step, and all of a sudden you're saying like, well, Quinn is a much better player. But as it stands now, those guys are kind of on that same level. Then you look at Creed Humphrey at center and say, like, there's another guy who's like a Pro Bowl type player. And the Broncos just don't have a second one of those. And like as much as like Juwan Taylor to me isn't the greatest right tackle in the world, but I think he's maybe not a similar player to Mike McGlinchey, but just in terms of value, it kind of balances out in the same way. Trey Smith, Ben Powers, toss up. And you wind up with like Garrett Bowles or Wanya Morris, where you go Bowles, but that gap at center is just too big. So I think I'm with you. It's really close, but I might take the Chiefs offensive line over the Broncos. Chargers up next. Rashawn Slater back at left tackle. Zion Johnson at guard. Bradley Bozeman, Jamari Salyer, Joe Alt. So to me, Slater was an All-Pro as a rookie. He's had like some injuries since then, but I still see him as that guy. Joe Alt, compared to Mike McGlinchey, actually very similar because they're both like 6'8", Notre Dame first-round tackles. But Alt, McGlinchey hasn't panned out the way you would hope. Like he's still a good starting player, but Alt, you hope he steps in and immediately is one of the better right tackles in the league. It's just those guys in the middle where I think the Broncos definitely win. Zion Johnson hasn't quite done what I thought he'd do. Jamari Salyer out of Georgia, the big boy at guard, I thought that he might do a little bit more. And Bradley Bozeman's like a solid center, so I guess they win that one. But this is another one that's pretty close.
To the Broncos, you think? I think Joe Alt,
he's a rookie.
Yeah, the potential you could say is there, but as far as like what he's done in the NFL, I can't just automatically give them that super boost like he's already an All-Pro. I think he can and probably will be All-Pro. Will he do it in his rookie season? That's the question. And will he have like a learning curve? You know what I'm saying? It is different in the NFL. He can't just come here and bully people the same way. Maybe
especially
he can,
if we're doing
but I
these
think it's going to be
rankings now.
some time. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it might be different toward the end of the season, but right
For
now you'd rather have McGlinchey week one than Joe Alt probably.
Yes.
Week one, yes.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, it is the Broncos here. Slater makes it tough just because like he and Quinn to me are just like those freaks. Like they're the type of linemen who are a cut above everybody else, and it feels like those guys are kind of rare. But he plays left tackle and Quinn plays guard. But still, I think the consistency through the Broncos line probably does put them in front of the Chargers.
Yes.
And then let's see, final one. So we're at Chiefs, then Broncos, then Chargers. We got to fit the Raiders in there somewhere. Colton Miller at left tackle, Jackson Powers Johnson at guard, Andre James at center, Dylan Parham at right guard, Thayer Munford at right tackle. I like what they're doing there, but this is more of like a work in progress, I think, than some of the others.
Yeah, because Jackson Powers Johnson is a what?
He's playing guard. So he last year, in his third year at Oregon, he was like a big time recruit. I think a 5-star recruit. Last year was his third year at Oregon. He took over the center job, and it was the first time he really played, and won the National Center of the Year award. He's just like this nasty little boxy guy, and they're playing him at guard. And I really like him, less now that he's a Raider, of course. And the fact that he slipped to the second round kind of surprised me. But it's another one where, like, I think he's still only 21. It's just probably just going to take some time. And when you're saying like he's probably your second or third best offensive lineman right now, it just means you're kind of in a tough spot.
Yeah. I think, O-linemen are always hard to kind of like evaluate. And you need some really good ones to really put together a good line. I think that the Broncos' cohesiveness with 4 out of 5 got 5 guys coming back. I think that just puts them like at another level above the Raiders and the Chargers.
Yep.
Along with having, guys that have been Pro Bowl players before or have had good seasons. Or you talk about Quinn Miners, who maybe should have been a Pro Bowl player this year, but didn't have a big enough name to really make the push. Definitely played at a Pro Bowl level. They got some pretty good players, in that line. It'd be hard for me to put anybody above them. I think the Chiefs, even though we said they might be one, I think it's like you could do like a 1 and a 1.2, not even like a full 2.
Definitely.
Because they are that close and because the Broncos line is that good.
Also, sometimes, like, Creed Humphrey is really, really good. Like, he's definitely really, really good. It doesn't hurt that he's playing with Patrick Mahomes, and that doesn't mean that if he goes somewhere else, he's not a good player. But when you see a guy like that, or like Trey Smith at guard, who's a 6th-round pick, who seems like he's, it's kind of shocking that he was a 6th-round pick. When you play your whole career with Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna look a little bit better, and so maybe he's helping them out more than we give credit to, and the Broncos line should be higher. Let's see.
What are you saying? Russ wasn't helping the guys out?
No. He wasn't helping anybody. He helped Cord out, though. That's the only guy he helped out. Helped by just lobbing balls
Russ
up.
definitely tricked McGlinchey on a couple of those rollouts.
I know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think McGlinchey had about 2 or 3 sacks that he gave up that weren't his fault. He definitely was boxing his guy out. Russ decides to evade. No rushers, but he evades out. And I think that definitely made it hard on McGlinchey.
Yep, it definitely did. And that's why I think we've seen the worst of McGlinchey as a Bronco. Unless he's here like 5 years from now as like a 34, 35-year-old, then maybe things change. But he was just put in so many tough positions. And on top of that, it's a new kind of offense, a new style of offense. Like, he was, at that point, 2 years removed from the torn quad. But you would still think, like, so you tear it and miss a season. You come back and you're a little bit off. This was kind of his first year back. That second year back, similar to Javonte, maybe you do see a little bit more of a step, like, physically on top of just being put in better situations.
Tearing the quads would suck, man. That's such a big muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 4 in there, but I don't know which part of it he tore, but that's a huge group of muscles.
All I know is that he tore it off the bone.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure. Because that makes me think like it'd be like a ligament or something that attaches it to the bone. But it wasn't. It was the quad. So I wonder if that just means like it kind of like snapped, kind of like an Achilles does, where it just separates. It was a major torn quad, though. That's all I know. And they said off the bone.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah. All right. We didn't get to tight ends. We'll save those for later. Real quick, got to give a shout out to Vestibule. We're going to rank these defensive units tomorrow, unless something crazy happens and the Broncos make a wild trade or whatever. But I was actually listening this morning to what was it? It was Move the Sticks. It was Daniel Jeremiah's podcast, and they were ranking all the top or front 7s in each division. They got to the Broncos and said like they're just kind of missing that alpha. But Baron Browning keeps flashing and flashing and flashing. And now, if he's healthy, who knows? Maybe he does break out. And if he does break out, then you can make a bunch of money if you invest in him on Vestable, because it's an investing platform. It's an app where you basically buy a portion of players' future earnings. So each share is whatever percentage of his contract. It all comes down to like 1% of what he gets paid back to the people who invest. It's a really cool program. Baron Browning is their first athlete. There's more on the way as well. But this seems like a good time because he's getting a new contract next year, whether it's in Denver or whether it's somewhere else. Baron's IPO is live right now. Shares are available for purchase. They are limited, though, so go download the Vestable app now and invest.
And shout out to Coors Light. Glad you didn't drink a Coors before driving to the airport, but you definitely could drink Coors after the airport at 4:30 in the morning, because Coors is made to chill. It's the only beer that I reach for when it's time to chill between a wife that's pregnant and
That's right.
3 kids and
no Coors Lights for her
practice
or them.
None for them, but a lot for me. So I definitely make sure I enjoy my Coors Light, because I think it's the perfect beer to chill. And you know exactly when it's cold, because those Rocky Mountains light up blue when it's the perfect temperature to drink. And if you want to get Coors Light delivered straight to your door, you can go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR through Instacart. You can get it delivered straight to your door. Remember to celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
All right. While we wait for Baldy, who should be here any minute, what do you think Zach is doing in Cancun right now?
He's probably having he's probably having a drink or two. He's probably eating like some bubblegum ice cream and
probably watching some tush push highlights.
Yes, he has his joggers on the beach.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
Do you think he braided his hair already, or he's gonna braid it right before he comes back?
He probably has a bead. He has a bead or two.
Yeah.
Oh, what are the odds he comes back with braids in his hair?
Oh, very, very slim.
Very slim. Okay, it sounds like we've got our guy Baldy here. Let's see. What's up, Baldy?
What's happening, fellas? How you doing?
Oh, not bad. So today on the podcast, we are ranking all of the position groups in the AFC West. We're starting with the offense. So we went through quarterbacks, the running backs. We just finished the offensive line, though. And we gave the Chiefs the edge over the Broncos, and then went Chargers, Raiders. How do you feel about that?
Well, the Chiefs are definitely first.
Okay.
I mean, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, they don't even miss a snap. Those guys have been unreal. Yeah, I would go Chiefs. I put the Raiders last, and then I kind of want to see who's playing center for both you and for the Chargers. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you guys know. I don't. But I kind of want to see who's playing center, because that kind of where it starts. And the best center by far, by a country mile in the whole division, is Creed Humphrey. So I'd probably still put you second. But I think that the Chargers, we'll see who plays center. But right now, I'd probably put you second. Chargers and then Raiders.
Yeah, we were specifically talking about the O-line as a whole, but then we were breaking down kind of that right tackle position. So we talked about Joe Alt, talked about Mike McGlinchey. And for years, Mike McGlinchey was a really solid piece to the 49ers puzzle. And then last year, it felt like he kind of took a step back. We talked about how some of those sacks we felt like maybe were Russell Wilson's fault. Him evading, to Mike McGlinchey's side when he was holding down the fort. Do you think Mike will have a much better year with a more pocket quarterback in Bo Nix?
It's possible. I mean, I think that Mike really benefited playing in San Francisco in the offense and just the wide zone scheme. I think he really benefited. He struggled at times against elite rushers in San Francisco as well. He gets tangled up sometimes. He's pretty tall. He's about 6'7". He gets tangled up sometimes, and he just doesn't have enough core strength to just anchor. I don't know if he would fight me on that right now, but that's kind of how I look at it. But I think that anybody that gets a second year next to, like, say, Quinn, and you get a second year of playing with your guard and how you handle stunts and how you handle slide protections and all these different things that you work on individual drills every day. I always believe that the second year is going to be better than the first year. And then, you get through the off season, you kind of review some things that gave you guys trouble the year before, And so, I mean, it could be something that's just as simple as handling Chris Jones in Kansas City and just making sure he just doesn't, wreck your day or wreck this play or this third down, whatever. And just the communication it takes to be able to handle a guy like that because he moves up and down the line. So I would say, I would guess that Mike will be better this year than he was last year.
Interesting. The other question that we had was because we were comparing him to Joe Alt. We're trying to figure out Broncos or Chargers. Week 1, who would you rather have? Because obviously Joe Alt's an exciting prospect, and by the end of the year, he might be one of the better tackles. But as of week 1, do you go with McGlinchey or the rookie?
Well, I saw both Nick and Joey Bosa last week working out, and I asked Joey about Alt because I knew his dad real good. My brother played with him in Kansas City, and he said, he's been giving him the arsenal, and he's kind of winning because he's very tall. He's over 6'8", very unusual for offensive tackles. Outside of Jonathan Ogden, it's very unusual for guys that tall to be really, really good. But he's a very good athlete. I think he's a better athlete than Mike is. I would guess that the Chargers are going to lean a lot more on the run game than the Broncos will. And so it might favor Joe just from the standpoint of scheme and play calling right now. Might benefit him a little bit more.
Baldy, another position that we were talking about was the quarterback position, and specifically Bo Nix kind of being at the bottom of the AFC West right now. And, over time, we want him to make a jump up. And we talked about in 5 years, could he jump past Justin Herbert or would he still be behind Justin Herbert? In your opinion, if you're the third best quarterback in your division, is there a way for you to have success in this league, or do you constantly just lose to the top 2 guys?
No, I mean, look, sometimes divisions get stacked. Let's see. Brock Purdy right now is, Matt Stafford. It's pretty good. It's pretty good right there in the NFC West. I don't know where you put Kyler at this point. I think he got better as the season went on. We know it gives, some people trouble, but I wouldn't put him above Brock or, Matt right now. But you can have success. I think it's going to be hard for Bo. It's going to be hard for Bo to outdo Justin Herbert just from a talent standpoint. You're 6'6" and you can run and you have that kind of size and that arm. You watch Justin Herbert throw. Watch that guy throw a football. There's not many people that play in this league that can throw a football like that. Now, he hasn't had great success, obviously, and that's how he has to get defined eventually. But just from a pure talent standpoint right now, it's hard to find many guys. I know there's Mahomes and whatever, but it'd be hard to surpass Herbert at this point. Just from a physical standpoint, I think Bo would have a hard time competing with that. Doesn't mean he can't win more games. Drew Brees wasn't the most talented guy. He didn't have the strongest arm. He was the most accurate arm, and he was probably the smartest arm that played for a long, long time. So there's different ways to win. Montana didn't have a strong arm, but, he was 4 for 4 in the Super Bowl. So you can still win, not having the same gifts as Justin Herbert.
I'm curious to see what Justin Herbert looks like with all the changes in the offense. Because it's obviously they want to run the ball more. They're investing in the trenches, but they also get rid of Keenan Allen, get rid of Mike Williams, get rid of Austin Eckler. And now you look at the options to throw the ball to. You got Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, DJ Chark, Brendan Rice. Like there's some exciting young players there, but there's almost nobody on this team except maybe like Hayden Hurst, who has real experience being a high volume playmaker.
Yeah, but you have to. This Harbaugh factor is real. If you go back to 2011 when he went to San Francisco, they drafted Kendall Hunter. They had Frank Gore. I think it was in his second year. He had his best season ever that first year in San Francisco. I think he ran for 1,700 yards. They hit the ground running, and running big. Nobody knew who Kendall Hunter was. He came out of Oklahoma State, 3rd-round pick, but he was the rotation back with Frank Gore. They had one legitimate, Crabtree was the one legitimate receiver that they had. They ran the ball way more than they threw it with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. But I just, you just can't underestimate how he builds his roster. It's going to look different. I know we're comparing the Chargers and all this, the change. I get all that. It's just going to look so different than anything we've seen with the Chargers since they've been in this division.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the Chargers may be the one team that I'm most nervous about. I know we've seen what he did in San Fran, and then you talking about what he did in Michigan, and now he goes from having J.J. McCarthy at quarterback to having a really, really talented young quarterback. So it feels like that may be a hurdle that the Broncos have to overcome. Are the Broncos currently the fourth best team in the AFC West as you see it?
Well, I mean, I mean, there's Kansas City and everybody else. I mean, you can throw them all up. You know, Raiders, Broncos, Chargers right now. Coaching matters. I mean, I think coaching matters more at the NFL than any other sport out there. And so you guys got a great coach, and that makes a difference. And he's in his second year, so he's kind of figured some things out. Obviously, moved on from a big quarterback, and that was a big move. But you know, I mean, the Raiders, I don't know, like quarterback wise, are they a threat to anybody with what they have right now? I don't believe so. I don't believe it's a dynamic offense right now. I think defensively they made a lot of improvement. They kept the whole staff. They added some key pieces right now. Even picking up Jack Jones during the season last year is a good player, instinctive player. You know, they kept this inside linebacking core the same for the first time in, I don't know, a decade. You know, and then they add Christian Wilkins and Tyree Wilson gets a whole year. I mean, I think they're going to be a really good defense. Offensively, though, I don't know who they would scare at this point. I just don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I agree. And we're about to hit the tight ends next in 5 or 10 minutes or so. The Raiders are interesting there because obviously they invested in Michael Mayer last year, who I really liked. And this year, used their first-round pick on Brock Bowers, who I like even more. That's a strange way to build a team. And I don't think we've asked you about this, even though that was a couple months ago. What did you think of adding another tight end there?
I didn't understand it. Honestly, there had so many needs, whether it was quarterback or, you know, another piece on defense or a right tackle. They looked like they were awfully short at right tackle, and they could have easily taken a right tackle right there. There's one sitting right there waiting for them to take, you know. And I thought, I mean, if you said tight end tackle, I mean, the Jets, I was at the Jets facility the day of the draft, and the Jets traded back at, you know, one spot, and they had that choice: receiver, tight end, tackle. They took the tackle. I thought that's what the Raiders should have done. I thought whether it's Fuanga, whoever, you know, Fautano, I think was there, but I mean, I would have taken a right tackle. That's what they needed. They needed that more than they needed a tight end. Now, Brock Bowers, you know, tested off the chart and had a phenomenal, you know, run at Georgia, but we've seen tight ends have great college careers, and it doesn't always transfer to the NFL. Right tackles, you need right tackles. You need great right tackles, and they could have taken one. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll keep talking about tight ends. I know the Broncos have a few. Is there anybody that kind of sticks out as the front runner? If Dulcich is healthy, is he the guy? If he's unhealthy, who do you feel like will really step in and be that, you know, that dynamic tight end that Sean Payton is used to having? Do we have one?
I don't know. Is there any basketball players out there that are like 6'7" and aren't going to plug and play?
No, I don't think so.
Jimmy Graham's available.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he had a lot of success with Jimmy. I don't know. Like, Dulcich is a good route runner, and he's very smooth. He's very smooth in his routes, catching the ball. Like, I think he'd probably be the favorite right now. Troutman probably is a better blocker at this point. He's had some success as well. So I know they had a lot of depth at tight end last year. We didn't really see anybody just jump out and just claim the position, you know, like I think you want to. So I think that, you know, I think although that position should be fighting for playing time right now and trying to find that guy that can just be out there in 11 personnel every down.
Awesome. Appreciate it. I think that's all the time that we've got here, but we appreciate the insights as always, and we'll see you next week, Baldy.
Let's do it, guys. Let's start ratcheting it up here. Getting ready. We're a month away.
Yes, sir.
It's crazy to think about.
Okay.
Best time of the year.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
A lot of good insights as always. Oh, we actually don't even have more ads here, do we? What a special time. Tight ends next? Tight ends.
I think he kind of answered it.
He did. Let's fly through, and then we can get deep into the receivers.
Yeah.
Tight ends. Broncos are in tough shape. Start with the Chiefs. Travis Kelce.
Yep.
That answers that. Chargers have Will Dissly, pride of Bozeman, Montana. I don't know that he's a starter in the NFL, but it is what it is. Hayden Hurst, a good option. Like, that's a nice little 1-2 punch. And then I guess the Raiders are young, but Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers is a pretty awesome group. So I think it's pretty easy. It's just Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. Maybe there's a case for the Chargers in front of the Raiders.
Yes, but no matter what, I think we're fourth in this one.
And that's all that really matters.
And I think we could be close to the top if Dulcich could stay healthy and really be that guy that we've all seen him. Like, he's flashed before, but like we just need it for a full season to really be like, all right, we have a pretty good tight end room here. And I think that's what we're waiting on. So until that happens, I think the Broncos are the fourth best tight end group in the AFC West.
Yeah, and I haven't talked about Nate Adkins in months. So
you falling out of love or what?
No, but I think that I'm just overdue to remind people that he exists.
Okay.
Because he's good at what he does. Like, he's the reason they're able to, like, they let Chris Manhertz walk and go to the Giants is because they have somebody who can do that job. And he's not quite as big as Manhertz was, but he gets the job done. Like, he's the son of an SEC offensive line coach. Like, he's always in perfect position. He's stout. Like, he can block. And he has some sneaky upside as a receiver, especially like from like an H-back spot or out of the backfield. So in theory, when you have you've got Dulcich who can go catch the ball. Like, you basically only play him out of the slot. You've got Adkins who can block. You've got Troutman who can almost block as well as Adkins and provides a little bit of receiving. You've got Lucas Kroll, who's kind of well-rounded, at least like has the physical traits as of now. There's a world in which the Broncos have a good tight end group, or at least piece things together. I mean, you probably wouldn't expect them to be good this year, but maybe the year after they get to that point, and this year they kind of like find themselves. I don't think there's much reason, like, I wouldn't make that bet. Like, it seems like they're in a pretty dire situation, but there's a chance.
Is there anybody that you're nervous about, though? I think that's the big question. Because when Travis Kelce lines up one-on-one, you're like, ooh, we got to watch out for that guy.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers potentially is like, ooh, make sure you got eyes on him. I don't know if anybody is looking at our guys like, okay, we got to roll coverage when Kroll comes in or when Dulcich comes in. We got to make sure we have help on the inside. Like, I just don't think that we're there yet. So I think because they have other weapons, even if we have a group that, like, is manageable, I think we still need like a superstar or like a threat, like somebody that you gotta like know when he's on the field,
Yeah, and in theory, Greg Dulcich could be that guy. Like, I love the idea. Like, he's playing one seam, and you've got like Tim Patrick on the other side. Like, you can't play cover 3 against that. Like, you're just trapped because you got both those guys running those seams. In theory, there are ways that it could work out, but like, you just can't trust Greg Dulcich to play half the season at this point. And even if he does, he hasn't gotten to the point where he's scary. He's gotten to the point where, like, he's good, he belongs out there. We're still waiting for him to become scary, I guess. Also, somebody asked about Thomas Yasmin from Utah. So he's actually from Australia. So he fits in the International Player Pathway Program, which means instead of having a 90-man roster, because they have the international player, they can have him at 91. They can also keep an extra practice squad player if he's on the practice squad. So, which means he's not going to get cut because you can keep him for free. But it also means that if you put him on the active roster, not only do you have to take somebody off the active roster and try to get him to the practice squad, you also lose the practice squad spot. So unless he has a crazy preseason where he just looks incredible and they think somebody will claim him off of waivers if they try to put him on the practice squad, which there's no reason to think that's the case because he has like 400 career receiving yards in college. He's going to be on the practice squad, and he's more of a play for next year. Also, somebody asked about converting Devon Bailey a tight end, and he's just not. He's not wide enough. You don't want him as a blocker. Like, it's honestly, it's kind of like the Greg Dulcich conversation where it's like, well, you're basically playing him like a slot receiver 95% of the time anyway. But you can kind of just put labels on whatever you want. More fun though.
You know who's a hell of a tight end now? That used to be a Broncos receiver.
Cody Latimer. Yeah.
He's just balling out in the USFL, playing tight end. And, I mean, I don't know if we want to call it. I know he got injured. He is injured. But I think that he would be sneaky good. He has to get healthy first, of course.
Yeah.
He would be sneaky good.
He'd be an interesting one because I wonder how big he is now. Because he was big as a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 6'3", maybe even like 220.
Mm-hmm.
And if he could get up to like 230.
I think he's probably more than that right now.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I just can't. I haven't watched him a lot. I just can't buy that he can block. You know, like I just can't buy that you can play him in line without being a complete tell of what's happening. But that doesn't mean you can't. There might still be a role. Like Greg Dulcich exists. You know, Mike Gesicki put up some crazy numbers in a similar situation. So
Yep.
I'm not totally against it. How old is he now? Because he would have been a rookie.
My class. I think he's my class. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's probably 30.
He could have a couple years left.
Yeah. And he's a tight. It's like Kareem making the switch from corner to safety. It's like a little bit lighter of a workload for sure. You're not running go routes, come back and run a slant, and then running the go route, and running come back. Like it's a different kind of workload. And they rotate a little bit more. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Also, a guy like that in the USFL is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because like just because you can't block an NFL lineman doesn't mean you can't block a USFL lineman. Like, I'm not sure if he's still winning those battles, but he could at least put up a fight. And that speed from a tight end in that league would just be crazy.
Yeah.
Which makes sense why he puts up all the crazy numbers he does.
Yeah, killing people.
Yeah. I'd be tempted. Like, what do you have to lose? Okay, receivers. Again, we know who the Broncos receivers are, but let's take a look at the Chiefs first. Rashee Rice, who is probably going to miss like half the season with all the shenanigans that have happened this offseason. Bring in Hollywood Brown, who does have a 1,000-yard season. It was a couple years ago, but he did do it. Xavier Worthy, a first-round pick. Kadarius Toney, Justin Watson, Sky Moore, Mecole Hardman, Justin. So they're deep. Montreal Washington back there too. They're deep, but Rashee Rice is a starter, but I'm not sure he's like a true number one, like 1,500-yard, just feed him type of guy. And I'm not sure how many other starters they actually have.
They have a good group of guys. I think Patrick Mahomes is the catalyst for their success.
Yeah.
More so than these guys are just, all world. I think they're talented players, potentially like Pro Bowl players. But I don't know if they're Davante Adams or Tyreek Hill type guys.
Yeah.
But they are really good players, and they're nothing to like laugh at. I think they're very talented. How do they compare with us? As of right now, they actually probably have more production.
Yeah, probably.
Just due to injuries. And then also we have a lot of youth on our team. So sadly, I think they have more production, but I think our guys are better, can be better overall, over time.
Yeah. It's a weird conversation because both of them, I feel like the key is their depth. But I guess if you start at the top, Rashee Rice or Courtland Sutton. Rice, in his rookie year, 938 yards, 7 touchdowns. Also playing with Patrick Mahomes, where you have Court with 772 or something with 10 touchdowns. Statistically, I'd say they're pretty similar when you account for the quarterback play. But I guess with Rice in year 2, you probably give him the edge. Oh, again, if he's playing half the season, I'm not sure how you weight that.
I think I'll probably give Court the edge. I think
still, yeah.
I mean, you can't.
What would he do with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, you can't underestimate what a quarterback does for your receivers, man. It's a completely different game. And I just know that Court has had too many bad quarterbacks, and still put up good numbers. And even all the plays that he made last year, I think at no time did we say, "Oh, that's a great ball from Russell Wilson." We always say, "Oh my gosh, it's an amazing catch by Courtland Sutton."
Every time.
So I think if Patrick Mahomes was throwing him dimes on top of his ability to find the rock of the air, I think he would be a monster.
Yeah, I think so too. I think when you look at the number 2s, Hollywood Brown and Marvin Mims. Hollywood Brown 2021 had a 1,000-yard season. Also, last year he played 14 games and had 574 yards. Year before, only 12 games, had 700 yards. I think long term you definitely want Marvin because there's still the upside there. When he's playing for the Chiefs, I guess you can't say you'd be surprised if he gets to 1,000 yards, but he definitely doesn't seem like he's like a game-breaking receiver anymore. He's like a nice deep threat who's going to open up some space, but he isn't going to actually produce all that much. But as of right now, you still probably have to give him the edge over Marvin, just until you see it.
Until Marvin's the receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Marvin's a better returner than anybody the Chiefs have.
Definitely.
Hands down. But is he better than Hollywood Brown right now? I can't say that yet.
Yeah.
Because he still has to do it. We still like, I think there's a question mark there on like an every down wide receiver, especially playing the slot or playing outside, wherever he's going to play. He still has to do it. And he had success, but I mean, he only had a couple hundred yards last year, so not a lot of production there. So I think Hollywood Brown is a better wide receiver at this point.
And then where I think the Broncos win is from there with you got Tim Patrick, Josh Reynolds. Who's the other? I know there's one more. Tim Patrick, Josh Reynolds.
You talking about Vele, or are you talking
Vele,
about
Lil Jordan? There's so many guys. There's so many guys.
They got good.
Whereas
good guys.
like Chiefs have Xavier Worthy, Kadarius Toney, Justin Watson. I don't know. I guess you probably Chiefs receivers are probably better as of now.
Yeah. I'd say Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice is probably a solid starting two, but I think as a whole, there's a lot more upside.
Definitely.
With the Broncos, and if everybody's healthy, then we're really in conversation to probably being the best wide receiver group in the AFC West. I mean, if Tim Patrick stays healthy, if Marvin Mims does half of what we think he can do, and Courtland comes back and does what we want him to do, and Troy Franklin gets in there with his old teammate, I think
that's what I was thinking. There we go.
Man, you talk about a dynamic group. We definitely could have it.
Definitely. Let's hit the Raiders here. Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, Michael Gallup, then Trey Tucker, Jalen Guyton, DJ Turner. I mean, I feel like with that top three of Davante, I mean, Davante's the best receiver in the division.
Yes.
Jacoby Myers is probably maybe not right there with Rashee Rice and Courtland Sutton, but definitely not far behind. And Michael Gallup has done some things in the past as well. So to me, I think the Raiders probably have the best receivers.
Oh, you think so? Oh, Davante Adams. Yeah.
With Davante.
Yeah, with Davante Adams. Michael Gallup has kind of gotten a little, not himself. He hasn't, produced in the same way.
But like Josh Reynolds-y.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We're going to say the Raiders have the, with Davante Adams,
Yeah, I think just having a star separates them.
Yeah. I'm trying to convince myself.
And then the Chargers, I think, bring up the rear. Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, DJ Chark, Brendan Rice. Like,
you don't like Ladd?
I do like Ladd. Whoa. I like Mr. McConkey. I just don't know
why did you call him Mr. McConkey?
I don't know. Ladd like means boy. You like, and I just didn't want to put myself in a trap.
Nobody thought that, but
but that was just me.
Now we think that.
I just wanted to play it safe just in case. You never know. You never know what's on your mind over there. Okay. But I mean, exciting group, probably last in the division as of today.
For sure.
All right. We got some super chats before we get out of here. Hank's intro had me dying. Good stuff, boys. Oh boy, GG. I don't even remember that anymore. Sure,
it was
great.
Good. It was full of information, and it was good.
Okay, I didn't channel my Zach. Like, is Bo Nix the best quarterback to ever live?
That's what you got.
To be fair, he didn't channel it because he got here a minute and a half before the show.
Oh wow!
Okay.
He just put you on blast, man.
I thought it went great. TBD 007. How have Tim Patrick and PJ Locke looked in OTA's minicamp? Tim's been good. He's been himself. He made like that one catch on the sideline where he's like falling back shoulder. And you're like, okay, that's what Tim Patrick does. And then made some little catches over the middle. PJ also, those blitzes just look crazy. Just over and over and over again, he gets into the backfield, and that's kind of what he's all about.
Yeah, I think we expected both these guys to have a good season coming up, and I think they both performed marginally better than what we had hoped, I think.
Yep.
Especially PJ is definitely coming along and definitely getting some love from Sean Payton himself. And then Tim Patrick is definitely coming right along. It feels like he didn't really lose a step with the time off. It's just kind of like he's right back in there, and he's right back to doing his thing. So definitely good to see.
Definitely doing his thing. We got Rocky's game to watch, so we will be back tomorrow doing the same thing, but on the defensive side of the ball. See you then.
Peace out.
We all silly like the mayor.